What's up, Rangers? Welcome to the HS. My name's Steve, and speaking of Steve's, past Steve screwed up on this video and forgot to record the intro, but he recorded the beginning of the top 10. So you'll get to meet past Steve here in a little bit. But today we're going to do my top 10 Holy Grail action figures, and these are figures that I really want to have for my collection. But for reasons, mainly prices and availability, I don't have them currently. But I'm trying to keep stuff that I just like. Almost 100, it's like 99% I will never get these things. Like prototypes or just something that's just way too high and I'm never going to go with it. This stuff's reasonable. Except for one of them. But possibly it's like you could maybe find it cheaper. Like just hopefully get lucky anyways. But anyways, moving on to number 10. And this one isn't even really that expensive of a figure. I actually passed up on it the convention because it was just, at the time I didn't bring that much cash with me. I was mainly just trying to get autographs, stuff like that. So when I seen the Kenner Alien playset, the Queen playset to be exact, I think it was $125 the guy I was looking for, which isn't bad for eBay price. But I passed on it because like I know Arnez is, like he has one in particular, like we've done a review of it. So I've seen that, definitely want it. But I know you can get them cheaper. So I passed on it. It's one of the sets like I've slowly been starting to get back into collecting like the old Kenner line. I actually have one figure Arnez doesn't have in particular, which is the King Alien, which came with Hicks. I have the 2-pack. But definitely like ever since I was a kid, I always really wanted that set. Like I even like went on my way and took like the other Kenner Queen, which I have down there, still in the package, mind you. I used to take that and those little blow-up balloons that had like the little ball sections, like they were like very rich. I would take that and use that to be the like the cocoon coming off the back of her to lay the eggs. It had like a giant little cardboard box that I would make in order to actually try to replicate the scene to the best of my abilities. And that was even before I knew that there was a playset. Like once I found out there was a playset, I was like, I need this in my life, but just was never able to get it. And that was like the first time I actually seen one in hand and actually passed on it. Like that took a lot of restraint for me not just to go, mine, and walk away with it. Well, pay for it anyways. But it's one of those eventually I will probably get a hold of. It's just something I haven't really like set money aside to go get. Usually I'm more focused on getting newer stuff anyways. But that's why it's on low on the list, because it's something I still feel like I could get pretty darn easily if I really wanted to. For number 9 is something that it's one of the only things I'm missing out of this particular line that I really want to actually still try to get a hold of, which is SH Monstars. Actually, it's the only one I really need to get that I'm missing, that I want anyways. Because outside of reprints and repaints, the only thing I'm really missing that I need is the King Kong figure from SH Monstars. I know there's like the Alien and Predator, but I don't really care about those. Like NECA does a great job with them, so I've just been going with them. They're supposed to be putting out the Requiem Wolf Predator anyways, so hopefully I'll just go pick that up anyways. But the Kong figure just was one of those that I wasn't really collecting them at the time, so he came out, passed. And now it's like $200 for an outdated figure that's fairly easy to break. So, I haven't really jumped the gun on it. Like, if somebody like offered me one like in the box for like $100, I'd be more inclined to. I'd be like, all right, cool, here, take my money. 200's a little bit rough for something of that size, especially for like a version of Kong that like I enjoy. Like I mostly like all the Kong films, but it's not one like. I'd much rather have, say, like the 1933 Kong, or even a Skull Island Kong if they were going to do one, because I just think they were just better versions of them. Or especially the Toho, like 62 Kong's probably my favorite still. And God, they need to make a monster of that, especially with the 62 Godzilla coming out. They need to hop on that. Number 8, another one that's not fairly hard to get. Like I actually can drive down the road and go pick one up right now, but again, it's one of those like at the price. Heck, I could even probably go trade some stuff in to get it, now that I think about it. Because I'm trying to downsize, but I'd rather sell than go pick it up. But it's the vintage Playmates Technodrome from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Used to have one of those as a kid. Loved the ever-living crap out of that set. And then I did something to upset my mom. So she bagged up my turtle stuff, put it on a shed. And then when I could finally have it, guess what? somebody took stuff, like, literally went to the shed, stole a couple of things, and one of them was a bag of my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff with the Technodrome in it. So I haven't been able to get another one ever since. I don't even, like, that's why I don't really collect turtles out that much outside of the movies, because I had a ton of them, and part of them just went missing. Still have a few laying around, but they're mostly, like, missing all their weapons and stuff. But I really miss that old Shrek Technodrome set because it was just really cool how it folds out. You have the giant eyeball on top, and it was just easily like the most massive cool thing I had when I was a kid. Next to at least number 7, which it's in the same ballpark. Like if you wanted the box, it's way more money. But I know last time I tried to get one, they were like $150ish because I wanted to get one for my wife, which is the Jurassic Park compound from the first movie. That I had for forever, for freaking ever. What this was the, pretty much what it was supposed to represent was the setup of the first movie. You had like the giant building where they were in, and it had the electrical fence going around it. It came with a couple little things. It's hard to remember off the top of my head, but it was huge and cool. And I used to play with that a ton because I had most of the, at least first movie dinosaurs. Because when I was a kid, being into Godzilla and stuff, had a lot of dinosaur figures. And just it was always a really cool set, especially like playing with the human characters. I actually used to use that set for Godzilla stuff when I was playing. So I have a lot of fond memories of the set, and plus, with my wife being super hardcore into it, never actually having owned that set, it's one of those ones I really want to try to pick up eventually. But first we gotta make some room. For number 6, this is just like a random figure I've been wanting for a while because my love of Jason Voorhees anyways. And I got some of the few figures here and there, but nothing from Freddy vs. Jason, which is easily my favorite movie of all of them. I don't even know why. Like, some of them I would consider to be better movies, but it's just like, when I went to go see Freddy vs. Jason in theaters, I was in a packed theater, so packed that we were sitting in the aisle. Like, I was literally sitting in the aisle to watch this movie with a bunch of my friends when we went to see it. And throughout the entire movie, everybody was just loud, obnoxious, and totally into the film, and I loved it. Especially when they did, like, Freddy did the pinball scene, everybody just started, like, cheering and roaring. And he's like, "Oh, Tyrrell," and everybody started laughing. And just that whole fight sequence, everybody was just like, you could tell who in the audience was rooting for who. It was just pretty much like going to like a WWE event, which is the reason why I love that movie. Mainly because of that first experience. I still appreciate it nowadays. And one of these figures I want is the Sideshow Collectibles Jason Voorhees from the movie. It's just, to me, seems like the best version to get. Also, I think it's the most expensive outside of, say, like statues and stuff like that. Because I think NECA did a few. Like, I've seen a few companies have done the figures over the years, and they're quite pricey and outdated figures. While even like an old Sideshow figure is still a good figure nonetheless. Like, it'll be solid and enough to pose on a shelf. So that's the version in particular I've been wanting to get. Definitely the most expensive thing so far we talked about if I want to try to pick it up, say, eBay. So that's one reason why I haven't got it, because like, collecting Friday the 13th stuff is definitely very low on my totem pole in terms of most of the stuff I get. Like, I like getting the masks periodically and what NECA puts out. But for the most part, anything over $100 really puts a strain on the collecting for at least most horror movie stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't really tried to acquire one, and probably won't anytime soon. Number 5, one of the more newer ones. This would be the X Plus Legion that came out a little bit ago. Definitely want to pick that up. Big boy. And it's easily my favorite kaiju of all time. Like, I love Legion. So when I saw that pop up, I was like, I feel like I need to pre-order that. But I think that was the same time the 62 Godzilla first came out. So it was like, I could pick one. Like, there was a bunch of figures at the time. It was just like, I could either have all these or that Legion. I picked all the other ones. And I can't say I've regretted it, but God, I really want that thing. I don't even have the space for it. I still want it. But then it's like, if I get that, it starts a little hole where I got, okay, now I gotta get Gamera 2 so I can have him next to that, which I need to write that wrong too, because I also really want a Gamera 2, but I feel like that's way easier for me to get as of right now than Legion, outside of when they probably reissue way down the road, because they've pretty much reissued all the big ones so far. So there's a possibility. Or at least until they make a Monster Arts one, and then I don't have to worry about it at all. But with my love of that monster, it was always one of those figures like, every time I seen it, like I even seen it popped up used and I had to pass on it again because, again, didn't have quite the money for it at the time. So, one of these days. So for number 4, actually probably the most expensive thing we're going to talk about today. Because the cheapest I usually see this thing going for is $800. Like $400 once in a while, but her price is definitely up there. It's not even, like looking at it nowadays, it's not even that good of a statue. Because the thing is, I think it was like 2008 it came out, so it's definitely an outdated statue. But it was one of the first animes that really got me into more obscure animes and actually like going on my way to try to check out stuff outside of just what showed up on, say, Toonami, or even just most other television series, or cable television shows anyways. And that is Nana from Elfen Lied. It's the Dream Tech statue, which is, to my understanding, the only figure we've really gotten out of anything having to do with Elfen Lied. I know you can get like bootlegs of like her music box that was in the anime, but I always wanted something of the characters, like even articulated ones would have been really great, but I'll live with statues. Especially if they did like a new statue. Oh man. But we do have Nana. But again, during that time period, I wasn't collecting it all. This would have been dating Jessica, my wife now, for a little bit. And at the time, I was moving around a lot, so I wasn't really buying things too much in terms of figures. Like I think at that time, it was mostly the once in a while Transformers, some Halo stuff. Because at that time, I didn't even know where my Godzilla stuff went. So I wasn't even buying that at the time. So it was something that I really missed out on. And now, loving that anime and doing all this collecting stuff, I've been trying to get stuff from like random animes I've really appreciated, with 2 glaring holes in my collection being from Yu Yu Hakusho and Elfen Lied. So Yu Yu Hakusho, they do make stuff, but I kind of want figures. Like one of these days they'll make action figures, and I don't really like the statues, at least the ways they look. Like Kotobukiya is like almost there. Like I really don't want a shirtless Yusuke, but they're pushing me towards that. But with Nana, which is Nana, like it was the way she was in the anime, so whatever, I'll work with it. Dream Tech statues are actually pretty good. I have the Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I got Mommy. So seeing that, and I was like, okay, it can't be that bad, right? Like it's an outdated looking statue. It's not that great. It's a bit older. Sometimes they're cheaper to get nowadays. Looked that thing up, and like there's like 2 on eBay at like used cheap car price. So haven't acquired it yet, and probably is the one on here that I honestly probably want the most, but at its price range is definitely the one I'm mainly grasping straws to try to get. For number 3, this is sort of like a prototype, but you could get them, and I see people buying them. They show up once in a while, so I feel like this is something that is more easily accessible. But if anybody who was really into Trendmaster figures for the Godzilla series, you probably have heard of Doom Island figures, which I think the whole gist about that, I'm not 100%. So if I screw up something, don't hate me. But I think they were all mail-away figures. Like you had to get them shipped to you, and none of them officially saw any retail release. And there's a lot of like, this is where you can get some monsters that they didn't have larger, which is actually one I want, is the Doom Island Biolante, because it was actually a full large-scale size version of her. Also, anything from Doom Island I'd be interested in getting. I almost bought a variant one time, but it was broken in the package, and it was $40 broken in the package, so I didn't grab it. Kind of regret. I definitely regret it now, because the funny thing is I'm part of like a Trendmaster group on Facebook, and I seen the guy that bought it. So I feel like I should have just grabbed it and called it a day, because it's not like I'm going to open the damn things anyways if I was able to acquire one. But there's like variant, there's a Kamunga you can pick up, and it has like weapons you can get with it. Some of the monsters came with dinosaurs, so it's kind of a neat little set to get, and I mostly want anything from it, but if I had to pick something in particular, it'd be the Biolante. Number 2 one's tough, because I really like both of these. I'm going to put number 2, the more expensive one, at least for what I've seen, which is the real action hero of Ryuko Matoi from Kill la Kill, particularly her high school outfit, which was a Wonderfest exclusive. So they made way less of them than any of the other versions, and the real action heroes are already getting kind of pricey up there. With me probably by the time this video comes out, having Arneza's, which is the Satsuki, which then I gotta get Ryuko, which I really want that school uniform one so bad because it's just a different version of her than what I have for everything else Kill la Kill. So to me, it makes it way more desirable, but she's like, I'm not gonna say $1 bajillion, but last time I think she was like $400 or $500 when I seen one pop up. And that's used. That's like open, somebody had it displayed, $450, especially for a figure that has cloth on it. So it's definitely something, because I don't even have that much Kill la Kill at the moment. Like I have the Figmas, I'm getting the Nendoroids slowly, and Satsuki will be my real action hero on one of the statues. But again, like I mainly collect action figures, so the statues are kind of like whatever for me. But anything like posable, definitely more inclined to pick up. But with her price tag, it makes her way more desirable for me to get because it's only going to go up. I doubt she'll ever get a reissue. So it's something I want to grab sooner than later if I'm going to try to get it. Just hope I get lucky at an anime convention at some point. And for number one, you've seen this monster pop up on the channel periodically. Super unimportant views, pop some of the skits. One of my favorite characters in our series, and honestly, an X Plus I feel like I really need to get, which is the 1998 Godzilla. They made one. It's not even that good looking, at least from what I've seen from pictures. It's not into scale with anything. Like I don't think it's a 25 centimeter scale. I don't think. It's just weird. I think there's two color versions of it. The brown one's the one I usually see all the time, and probably the one I'd want. And the only reason I really want this is because I do collect X Pluses a little bit, and it's just such an obscure X Plus. Obscure. Like, actually, that's the ones I try to, like, I enjoy picking up. Like, I have the Godzilla vs. Evangelion ones, but just because, even for, like, hardcore X Plus collectors, it's not something people really, I feel like, want. Because you even see, like, I have a lot of his stuff around here. So, and he's one of, like, I don't want to say the mascots of the channel, but we're kind of known a little bit for our love of Zilla around here. And I feel like I just need to pick it up, have it sitting somewhere on my desk, and just be able to, for everyone to enjoy that monster. And I don't even think he's that expensive. Like, he's like normal X Plus price, like 200-ish. And it's one of those, every time I just decide to go and like, you know what, I got some extra money, let's go find an X Plus Zilla. Never can find one. And when I don't have money, shows up all the time. So, one of these days, I will have the X Plus that I really, really would love to review for the channel. But that's my Holy Grail list. Definitely let me know in the comment section below if there's any figures that you guys are really, really, really looking to try to get a hold of, but just hasn't really worked out yet. And help us defeat those kaiju by hitting the like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.